She arrived with a small suitcase and a careful kind of hope. The city rose in front of her, tall and confident, glowing even before night had fully settled. Glass towers reflected light she had only seen online. Everything looked certain. Everything looked established. From the outside, it felt like she had finally stepped into the version of life she had imagined for herself. She had not come chasing luxury. She had come chasing stability. Back home, stability felt fragile. Work existed, but it never stretched far enough. Bills arrived faster than opportunities. Family depended on each other in quiet ways that added pressure no one ever said out loud. She carried expectations that did not belong to her alone. So when the chance came to leave, she took it. Leaving felt brave. Leaving felt necessary. Leaving felt like choosing herself. At first, the city rewarded her belief. The streets were clean. Transportation worked. People moved with purpose. It felt efficient, organized, like a place where effort might finally meet reward. But cities do not reveal themselves all at once. The first weeks passed quickly. She focused on adjusting, on learning routes, on understanding accents, on figuring out which prices were normal and which ones were not. She smiled through confusion and told herself this was part of the process. Then the numbers started to speak louder than her optimism. Rent took more than expected. Housing was shared, crowded, and temporary. Beds were stacked close. Privacy was thin. Every month felt like a calculation instead of a milestone. Food cost more than she planned for. Transportation drained small amounts that added up quickly. She noticed how often she was counting money, counting days, counting how long she could stretch what she had. Work came, but it was not what she imagined. The pay covered survival, not growth. Shifts were long. Rest felt rushed. She reminded herself that everyone starts somewhere, that this was only the beginning. But the beginning kept extending. The city was full of people, yet she had never felt more alone. Conversations stayed shallow. Relationships moved fast, but rarely deep. Everyone seemed to be passing through, chasing something just ahead of them. Friendship felt conditional. Time felt transactional. She realized that in this place, value was measured differently, not by effort, not by character, but by access. Access to money, access to comfort, access to choice. She saw it in small moments, in how people were treated differently based on what they could offer, in how invitations were extended selectively, in how attention shifted toward those who seemed established. Dating especially felt unfamiliar. It was not about connection. It was about leverage. People with money chose freely. People without money adjusted. She noticed how often conversations circled back to lifestyle, where you lived, what you drove, where you could go on short notice. Nothing was said directly, yet everything was understood. She began to feel replaceable without ever being told so. The imbalance was subtle, but constant. There were more people arriving every day, each carrying their own version of hope, people from different countries, different backgrounds, different languages. All drawn to the same promise, all competing quietly for the same limited sense of security. Opportunity felt abundant on the surface, but stability felt scarce underneath. She learned that when supply is endless, individual value becomes fragile. It was not cruelty, it was structure, a system where people were interchangeable, where patience was rewarded less than access, where waiting was a luxury many could not afford. Back home, failure had an exit. You could return, you could reset, you could lean on familiarity. Here, failure felt heavier. Going back meant explaining. It meant returning without proof that leaving was worth it. It meant facing the silence behind polite questions. So, she stayed. And staying required adaptation. Not all at once, not dramatically, just small shifts, lower expectations, quieter boundaries, fewer objections. She found herself tolerating things she would have questioned before, not because she had lost her values, but because survival reframes priorities. When rent is due, dignity becomes negotiable in ways no one prepares you for. She did not lose herself overnight. She adjusted piece by piece. The city never asked her to change. It simply rewarded those who already fit. And slowly, she understood something no brochure ever explains. Moving far from home does not remove vulnerability. It concentrates it. Every decision carried more weight. Every mistake felt amplified. Every compromise lingered longer. She was not weak. She was navigating imbalance. She still worked hard. She still showed up. She still believed there was something better ahead. But now, that belief carried caution instead of excitement. The city was beautiful, but beauty did not guarantee safety, and opportunity did not guarantee fairness. She stood at the edge of her new life, realizing that the hardest part was not the work. It was the quiet pressure to become someone else in order to survive. And this was only the beginning. Over time, the city stopped feeling new, not because it became familiar, but because it became predictable. She learned what to expect, how people responded, what doors opened easily, and which ones stayed closed. She could sense when interest was genuine and when it was convenient. She stopped mistaking attention for care. The hardest part was not disappointment. It was normalization. Things that once unsettled her began to feel ordinary. Comments she would have questioned before were brushed aside. Situations that made her uncomfortable were reframed as just how things work here. Survival has a way of teaching silence. She told herself she was being practical, that this was temporary, that once she stabilized, everything would feel different. But the line between adapting and eroding became thinner with each passing month. She noticed changes in herself, not loud changes, quiet ones. She laughed less freely. She guarded her thoughts more carefully. She measured trust instead of offering it. The version of herself that once spoke without hesitation now paused first. Not because she was afraid, because she had learned the cost of misjudgment. There were days she wondered if the city was shaping her, or if it was revealing parts of her she had never needed before. She felt stronger in some ways, more cautious in others. Independence came with isolation. Resilience came with fatigue. She missed being known. Back home, people understood her context without explanation. They recognized her effort even when outcomes were small. Here, context did not matter, only results. And results took time. She could not rush. She thought often about the idea of replacement, how easily people moved on, how quickly new faces arrived. It was not personal, it was structural. In a place built on constant movement, attachment felt inefficient. She realized that belonging could not be rushed, bought, or negotiated. It had to be built slowly. And sometimes, it never fully arrived. There were moments when she considered leaving, packing up, returning home with lessons instead of proof. Those thoughts surfaced late at night when exhaustion made honesty unavoidable. But leaving carried its own weight. Leaving meant explaining why effort had not translated into certainty. It meant confronting expectations she had once escaped. It meant admitting that distance had not solved everything. So she stayed longer. And in staying, she learned something important. The city did not break her. It clarified her. It showed her how systems reward advantage and overlook effort. It taught her how quickly worth can be reduced to convenience. It revealed how power operates quietly without announcements. She stopped romanticizing struggle. She stopped glorifying resilience. She began to understand that strength is not always loud. Sometimes it is simply enduring without losing direction. She did not leave unchanged, but she did not disappear either. She learned to protect her boundaries differently, to define success on her own terms, to measure progress internally when external validation was scarce. The city continued to shine. The towers still glowed. The streets still moved with confidence. But she now saw past the surface. She understood that every place has a price. Some demand money. Others demand time. Some demand parts of you that no one warns you about. Moving far from home is not just a physical journey. It is an identity negotiation. You decide what you are willing to trade and what you refuse to lose. She is still there, still working, still learning, still standing. But she carries herself differently now, with more awareness, with fewer illusions, with a deeper understanding of what it means to choose yourself in a world that rarely makes it easy. This is not a warning. It is a truth. Distance does not erase vulnerability. Opportunity does not guarantee dignity. And leaving home does not automatically bring belonging. Sometimes it brings clarity. And sometimes that clarity is the real beginning. If stories about leaving home, identity, and finding your footing in unfamiliar places speak to you, subscribe to Far From Home Stories. New journeys are shared here, quietly and honestly.